Hi guys. Today what we're going to do is we're going to do part one of two parts of exactly how we got into the Vietnam War, what brought the United States into the conflict itself. So this is a two-part series, so hopefully you're doing the lessons in order because you're going to need to do part one, then part two to fully really get the big picture. So here's what's going on. By the time we get into post-World War II, uh, Cold War conflicts, different things going on in the world, you have a different conflict erupting in Vietnam that involved the French, which I'll get to in a second, and involved communism. And as you can see here on the map, China was already communist. We know that. And we were trying to contain communism from spreading. Well, we didn't do that in China. Then, of course, you are going to have Vietnam that's right here. This is Southeast Asia. This area is Southeast Asia. And so Vietnam being the outlined area right here is going to be the problem. So what we are going to do, because we can't let communism spread, is we're going to get interested at first and then get more involved as it goes on. In 1946, shortly after World War II ended, Ho Chi Minh, as you see here, Ho Chi Minh was Vietnamese. He had been actually educated in France, and so he knew the French government well, and the French government were in control of his country. The French had been in control of Vietnam since the late 1800s. Well, he wanted independence. He even studied the Declaration of Independence from America and liked it very much. So he wants all foreigners out of his country, and he's willing to fight for it. So in 1946, the Viet Minh form, that is a militia group that you see here on the right, and their goal is ultimately to get the French, in this case, and any foreign government out of Vietnam. So the French responded by putting in what is called a puppet leader. A puppet, if you think about it, is controlled by something else. So if I have a puppet on my hand is actually controlling the puppet, and the puppet itself really isn't what's in control. So the French put this man in charge, Bao Dai, and he was Vietnamese. The thought was, well, this will appease Ho Chi Minh. This will make him happy. It did not. Ho Chi Minh said that all this is a puppet. He's under the French control. This changes nothing. So putting Bao Dai in charge did not change anything for Ho Chi Minh. He still wanted freedom. President Eisenhower in the United States started thinking that if Vietnam would fall to communism, what's next? And this became known as the Domino Theory. The Domino Theory, as you see here, if every domino is a country, and you knock one domino down, one country falls to communism, all the countries around it will start falling as well. This is what's going to keep the United States interested and really involved in Vietnam once we get there. We couldn't let Vietnam be the first domino to fall. And so President Eisenhower's domino theory is going to stick around for the long haul. And then finally, the French, in part one here, the French will leave Vietnam in 1954 after a battle called Dien Bien Phu. And this was a battle over an airstrip, as you can see here on the left on the map. And basically by 1954, that's about 8 years into the fighting with Ho Chi Minh, the French realize it's not worth it. It's not worth fighting over. They even told the United States, it's a small country, let him have it. Obviously, the Vietnamese really want, and Ho Chi Minh really want this. So after the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, the French will leave. And of course, the United States will pick it up. We'll pick up the ball and start their involvement. So that ends part one of the road to the Vietnam War.